All right, folks, it is Tuesday, May 27, 2025, and we have another XRP market update. We're going to be looking at the inflows into the XRP ETFs that are coming. Right now, we can track what's coming to Bitcoin so far, and some analysts that are providing some big numbers still on the way. I'm anticipating similar inflows into XRP ETFs. We're going to break that down here at the end of this episode. After we get caught up, very busy weekend. President Trump delaying the tariffs, market starts to pump. The Bitcoin conference has now started here today. And so I hope everybody had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. God bless all of our troops and soldiers that made that ultimate sacrifice. I went yesterday to the ceremony in my local town, and we did honor those fallen. And so we had a great weekend. We're back in the action. This is going to be an incredible week here with the Bitcoin conference, followed up with XRP Las Vegas, the real main show taking place there. I don't know what the Bitcoin bros have to talk about, to be honest, but they're getting together down in Vegas. They can have some fun. The adults in the room are going to be showing up here later this week for the XRP conference, and I can't wait to see you guys there. Let's get right on into the update. I've seen a lot of hype around ZBCN over the weekend. I know we've been talking about that one for the past month. We put out the signal, we put out the warning, and boy, did this one pump. I wanted to let everybody know, though, that you can store Zebek on the Decent wallets. So the top swapped or purchased tokens on Decent last week were XRP, USDC, ZBCN, Bitcoin, and Solana. And so I just wanted to let everybody know, people have been asking me, where can you buy it? Where can you store it? I have the Decent wallet linked up down below if you guys are looking to get that. And then also you can buy Zebek on Uphold and Caleb and Brown. Quick story on that. I did take some profit on Zebek over the weekend. And really it happened before I could even know what was going on. And this is the beauty of being set up on Caleb and Brown, is the day that I bought Zebek is the same day that I placed my exit target, where I said, okay, I'm buying it today. Here's where it's going. And I set my sell targets that day on Caleb and Brown. Now, over the weekend, I see Zebek's pumping and I go, okay, this is fantastic. Had my Discord wheelie call. And then I go outside and I'm literally outside playing with my children, having a squirt gun fight, having a blast. And I did win because, well, I'm a sniper. Okay. I got the nickname Shooter for a reason. I'll tell you about that story another day. So I did win the squirt gun battle fight with my children. But then I come inside to check my phone and I see an alert from Caleb and Brown that my sell limit on my limit order for Zebek had gone through. This is the beauty of being set up on these platforms, setting your limit order. Caleb and Brown got it done for me. And so I have those linked up down below, along with the Decent wallet if you're looking for a good cold storage solution. Now let's get back into it, guys. This is our Market Watch economic calendar update. Today we got consumer confidence, which did come in better than expectations. So it looks like the consumer is starting to feel a little bit better. After 5 months of negative consumer confidence, we have finally a positive month coming in. And then tomorrow we're going to get the May FOMC meeting minutes. That's from the Fed. So we'll get a little bit more insight into the mindset of our Federal Reserve and what might be coming up here for our June and July meetings. Maybe a rate cut on the way, maybe not. We'll see. And then we also get the first revision to GDP on Thursday. Remember, Q1 GDP did come in negative at 0.3. That's a negative GDP. First negative quarter that we've had since 2022. So we'll see about that first revision coming in there. Pending home sales on Thursday with some Fed speakers. The big one's going to be the PCE, the personal consumption expenditures. It's another inflation gauge. It's the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. That's coming in on Friday. So we'll be watching that closely. Here's what's taking place at the Bitcoin conference in case you missed it. Michael Saylor telling people that proof of reserves is a bad idea. Now remember, he was found guilty of accounting fraud in 2001. You can't make this up. And this guy right here says, and yes, there will be maxi tiers. Well, I'm not here to show you a meme coin, but I do hold a meme coin on the XRP ledger called Bitcoin Maxi Tiers for this exact reason. It's a narrative, it's a meme, and I think it might pump again. Now, I don't know how this story ends. I don't think that it ends well, but here's the situation at hand. Jason A.I. Williams shares, Michael Saylor is currently holding over 62 billion of Bitcoin, or so he says. He's not going to share reserves with us. And he's sitting on over 20 billion of unrealized profit. Let's be real. There is no institution or hedge fund in the world that wouldn't realize these profits. Do you think he will sell? He almost has to, right? A fiduciary duty, to the company, to the shareholders. The right thing to do when you're up this much is you have to, or at least you have to have a plan for that profit, right? And so I don't know what his plan is. I don't know what his reserves are. We're going to watch this thing unfold. But what I can tell you as a fact right now is that Bitcoin whales have turned into net sellers. That's right. And I've told you guys over the past week, why was I preparing to short Bitcoin? And why am I still getting ready to short Bitcoin? Because last year, the Bitcoin bros got all pumped up for their Bitcoin conference. President Trump came and spoke, not shilling Bitcoin, shilling stable coins to restore US dollar dominance, but the Bitcoin bros were excited to have him in the room. That's good. Bitcoin pumps up to 70,000 2 days after the Bitcoin conference ends and then drops 30% after the conference. But the Bitcoin bros have short-term memory loss. They forget that. And so what are we seeing right now on chain? Bitcoin whales holding over 10,000 Bitcoin are now net sellers as smaller wallets continue to accumulate and buy those bags. How do you drum up exit liquidity? You show up at the Bitcoin conference, you hype it up, you pump it up. This is the model that they run with, and this is the model that is now being executed. We can track it on chain. Don't take it from me, take it from on-chain metrics that the Bitcoin whales have now turned into net sellers. Guess who's getting ready to short? Hello. Circle has filed for an IPO. Looks like they're not going to be selling to Ripple or Coinbase. Now, they have come down substantially on their valuation target, down to $6.7 billion. So they turned down apparently a $5 billion offer from Ripple so that they could target a $6.7 billion valuation for a US IPO. Circle is now looking to get it. Now, I have to laugh at this because Cathie Wood's ARK is set to buy up to 150 million shares in the IPO. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Cathie Wood's ARK, it's like a running joke now, some of the terrible investments that she has made on behalf of her company. Like, her hedge fund has made some good plays. They got in early on some of these companies, big Tesla, Nvidia, some of these others. They've had some good plays, but she's also just had some terrible investments that they've made. And so I can't help but laugh that they've already set up to buy 150 million shares of Circle, being exit liquidity for the insiders that already bought Circle. And some of that is you guys. I know there's people in our community that have Circle IPO shares through Link2 and other platforms. Lucky for you, Cathie Wood and ARK is showing up to be your exit liquidity. So God bless you. I have to laugh at that. They thought that they were going to get 9-10 billion plus. Nowhere close. It's down at 6.7 billion is what they're targeting, and we'll see what they end up getting. And we'll follow up on this. I don't think that this story is over. And until that IPO actually happens, I still hesitate to say that this is a done deal as far as an IPO. And this is why I didn't care to speculate too much on the acquisition talks of Ripple or Coinbase. I already had said that I didn't think that Coinbase was a real buyer. I think that Ripple was, but we'll follow up and see how this story ends when it's all said and done. Now, in the meantime, I want to circle back on this Dubai land department, which is partnered up with Ripple to tokenize. This is real title deeds for property being tokenized on the XRP ledger. A lot of people saw this headline, and I think that not everybody understood what this actually is. This is not some random, private equity guys that are tokenizing a real estate offering to try to raise some funds to go buy one apartment building. This is the government of Dubai, the Dubai Land Department, tokenizing actual title deeds from a government entity. Now, this is LJ, and he is a director at Ripple. He says, the reason I keep banging on about this one is because it's the actual title deeds from a government entity being tokenized, not some random apartment from a chap who is trying to make the tokenization fit into an obscure legal structure. This is the Dubai Land Department unveiling its first real estate tokenization platform on the XRP ledger, letting residents buy fractional shares in properties. It's part of the agency's initiative for $16 billion in tokenized real estate by 2033. Now, I should note, why is this not pumping XRP now? Well, it's the same reason why all of these efforts to tokenize treasuries and other real-world assets on these other chains didn't pump these other chains in any significant way. And I'm talking about Stellar. They've had tokenized treasuries from Franklin Templeton. They've had tokenized real-world assets from other players as well too, but it never pumped it because you need volume. You need liquidity, right? Just because billions and trillions are getting tokenized on the ledger, that's great. You've parked value on the ledger, but for it to impact the price of the asset, the native asset of said ledger, you need value moving. You need volume and liquidity moving for said assets that are being tokenized on the ledger. So the day that the tokenization gets announced is not when you see the pump, other than you can get a little short-term bump based off of the market digesting that news and saying, oh, wow, this is real-world assets being tokenized on the ledger. Maybe I should buy some more XRP. And so you can see a little bit of a bump. But people misconstrue tokenization on these platforms directly leading to a pump that day. Not how it works. But down the road, this is where you get to that scenario of supply shock, right? Where you get XRP parked in wallets not moving because people are tokenizing real world assets. So they're bringing those assets on chain. They want to hold some of the native asset as well. So you get XRP locked up, you get XRP being burnt. And then ultimately what we want to see is the settlement and the volume coming in for these real world assets. That activity is what will drive price for the native asset of XRP. And this is the same for every other blockchain, right? This is why all these tokenization efforts, many of them don't lead to long-term, price action other than short-term bumps. So not to pound on that too long, but I did want to, break that down for everybody to understand that this is a real deal that just took place here in Dubai with real property deeds being tokenized on the XRP ledger. Now, David Schwartz comes in and he destroys some more XRP FUD when it comes to whether or not XRP is decentralized or centralized. He's responding to the thread here, for those of you guys who missed it, Conor McGregor asking about XRP, Solana, and Cardano and why the US government is going to be buying it. And he shares the Donald Trump post, the Crypto Strategic Reserve. So somebody asked the question, if XRP is decentralized, then why is Garlinghouse the face of it and Ripple the issuer? I don't see the same arrangement with Bitcoin. Okay. Well, David responds. He says, Garlinghouse is the CEO of Ripple, a company. XRP has no issuer. All the XRP that will ever exist was created when the XRP ledger was created. Unlike most other blockchains, the XRP ledger has no rivalrous features, so the ledger itself can't really do the initial distribution beyond letting anyone who wants to take as much XRP as they want. Basically, you can buy as much XRP as you want, but there's a finite supply. And there is no issuer of XRP, right? And Garlinghouse is the CEO of Ripple. Now, it's unbelievable that here we are in 2025 and we're still having to break down these basics for people, but it's what we have to do to get more people to understand the truth about XRP. And so I commend everybody that's been doing your part. I commend David Schwartz for taking the time out of his busy day to come address this FUD as well too. But this is how the likes of Conor McGregor and others start to ask questions. Hey, wait, what's really going on here with XRP? And when our community comes in and respectfully engages in intelligent dialogue, this is how we onboard the masses. This is how we bring XRP front and center for everybody to see and understand, oh, wow, the Bitcoin bros really were lying to me about XRP this whole time. XRP is completely decentralized. There is no issuer of XRP. Ripple is just one company of many that is choosing to work on the XRP ledger. Ripple is just one of 35 validators that determines the forward progress and confirmation and consensus of the XRP ledger, right? And so, yes, XRP ledger is completely decentralized. There is no debate about it. It's just a fact. And yet here we are still having to remind folks of this truth. Now, this is where it gets exciting, folks. You guys want to talk about $50, $100, $1,000 XRP? Ask yourself, what does it take to get there? I am totally here for it. You guys know I love talking about $100, $1,000, $10,000 XRP. But I also like talking about how we get there, how it's done, real math, hard data. How is it achieved? We got real numbers. And we can take these real numbers and we can compare that to XRP and the story and the narrative behind XRP. And we can ask the question, are the XRP ETFs going to bring in the same amount of inflows that the Bitcoin ETFs are? And if they do, or if the XRP ETFs even get a fraction of the inflows that the Bitcoin ETFs have seen, we're talking about some high prices for XRP. That's for sure. This is from Cointelegraph. Bitcoin capital flows could top 120 billion by the end of 2025 and hit 300 billion in 2026 per Bitwise. The US spot Bitcoin ETFs already pulled in 36.2 billion, 20x early GLD inflows. So we have already far surpassed the gold ETF inflows for Bitcoin. Now, like I said, if XRP ETFs see even a portion of this, we're talking about a double-digit XRP with ease. Now, JP Morgan predicted 4 to 8 billion. I think it's conservative. We've already seen 36 billion into the Bitcoin ETFs, 120 billion by the end of 2025, and 300 billion by the end of 2026 per Bitwise. It's impossible that XRP won't see similar or at least close to these amount of inflows. Right? We will see inflows into XRP after these ETFs go live. JP Morgan's keeping it conservative with the 4 to 8 billion. I think that we could see a lot more, 10, 20, 30 billion into the XRP ETFs within the first year or two. And I'm very excited to speak with the CEO of 2Cream up on stage at XRP Las Vegas here on Friday, where we're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about what he's seen from Wall Street and the appetite for these products. And I can tell you right now, he's very bullish on Ripple and XRP, which is why they rushed to be the first XRP ETF live in the United States. And they went live last month here in April with the 2X daily long XRP ETF. Just one of many different products that will allow for exposure to XRP and increases the demand for XRP as well too. Even though it's not physically backed by XRP, these futures ETFs allow for more demand to come into XRP because folks can buy XRP spot, but then hedge their position with these futures ETFs as well too. Now, when you look at these Bitcoin ETF inflows, 32 billion already, or 36 billion already, over 60 billion plus into all of the crypto ETFs that have now been live. I mean, we can see where this goes very conservatively. Now, remember, this is just the inflows into the ETFs. There's also a lot of money that's going to be coming into XRP outside of the ETFs. And we have 7.24 trillion now sitting in money market funds, a new all-time high for what is equivalent to basically cash on the sidelines. Savings, deposits, cash, money market funds, it basically makes up all of this. Short-term treasuries as well. And this is $7 trillion waiting to be deployed into these markets when the time is right. And so when I combine the inflows from the ETFs, when I look at $7 trillion of money market funds, when I look at governments like Dubai tokenizing real estate on the ledger, when I look at all the other initiatives and utility being brought to the XRP ledger, and I compare that with the inflows that have come into Bitcoin, an asset with only a store of value to it, no utility at all, I say, wait, why wouldn't we see similar inflows? Why wouldn't we see more inflows into XRP ETFs? Why wouldn't we see more inflows into the asset even outside of the ETFs? And this is why I will continue to hold my XRP, whether we hit, I had targets of approaching $3 this month. That's okay. We're not we're close. We got close. We got up to 265. That's fine. I'm still predicting an all-time high for XRP next month, $3.80 to $4. Still predicting that. But I'm not here for a $3 or $4 XRP. That's just looking at where we are short term. What I'm looking at is the inflows that I know are coming into this asset over the next 12 to 24 months and how that takes us to a 20, 30, 50, and even $100 XRP price targets over the next 5 years. That's what I'm here for. And the inflows that we see now, the inflows that we can see are on the way, tell me that we're right where we need to be. And I know you guys want to see that price action today, this month. I do too. It's on the way. And we can say that with 100% fact after what we're already tracking into the ETF products that we have now live. Who cares for Ethereum? Yeah, very limited demand. The Bitcoin ETF story, all it has is store of value. You compare that with XRP, store of value, real utility, real momentum, real hype, real FOMO. Nobody's FOMOing into ETH. Nobody's FOMOing into Bitcoin. People are rushing into XRP. And there's a reason why XRP's held up the price that we have so well, is because people are passively holding the floor, setting orders to buy XRP on every single dip. And they're preparing for this next wave up. And I believe that it's on the way. I do firmly believe it's on the way. And my targets still remain the same. I think that we're talking about a $20 to $30 XRP within 1 year after the ETFs go live. The ETFs go live later this year. So that puts us out into 2026 for a $20 to $30 XRP. Those are the targets, and I'm sticking to them. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm going to be back live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern for our regular live show. And then make sure you guys stay tuned because we're going to be having a very fun week taking this party down to XRP Las Vegas. Can't wait to see you guys there. And I appreciate your support. On the way out, if you guys could, smack it or tap it for me. I'd greatly appreciate that. And all of our community resources are available at zachrictor.com. God bless you all. We'll see you in the next one.